I'm going to show you how to quantize or grid your drums or any rhythmical instrument for that matter. And I'm going to show you how to do it in less than 15 minutes. Let's do it. What is up, my friend? Jacob here with another video to help you record better, mix better, and work better. Today's video, I want to go over the Pro Tools function called Beat Detective. Beat Detective is basically a tool that you can use to automatically detect hit points of any rhythmic instrument, chop it, move it to the grid, which will be depicted by the bars and beats counter or tempo of your song, and then fill and crossfade those gaps to get a perfectly edited, perfectly gridded rhythmic instrument in almost no time. Let me show you how to do this. So check this out. I got this drum track here. This drummer is ridiculously tight, but I'll still play it back for you, and we're still gonna grid it just for principle because I need it to be super, super on. So let's listen to a little piece of this here. So you see this drummer is so tight, but I'd like to get it even tighter, like right on the grid. So first thing you gotta do to use Beat Detective is we're gonna make a group for all of the drums here. And again, this can apply to any rhythmic instrument. It's just important that you group them together because you don't know what kind of shenanigans Pro Tools is gonna be doing to this track if your hits aren't all grouped together. Because it's basically gonna analyze all the hit points, cut them, move them to the nearest, whatever you tell it, whatever grid point you tell it to, and then it's gonna consolidate and crossfade all of it. So first, I wanna group everything together. Let's do a drum group. Boom. Now everything's grouped, and let's select everything. I like to consolidate the audio first just to make sure that it's not kind of moving stuff that's chopped in any weird way. So I take everything, consolidate it like this. There you go. And the shortcut to consolidate audio, if you didn't already know, is Shift Option number 3. Now, we have everything consolidated. We're gonna select everything. We're gonna do Command 8 on the keypad, which opens up the Beat Detective window. So things you're gonna wanna look for here, you can use Beat Detective to create bar beat markers to kind of create a tempo for you. So if you need to create a tempo map with kind of a free played rhythmic instrument, you could use Beat Detective to create that tempo map for you. So if the performance is speeding up and slowing down, it'll put the bar beat markers and create a custom tempo map for that, so that if you turn on a click track, it'll always be in sync. Clip separation is essentially gonna take all the hit detections that you've done, and it's gonna chop it at those exact hit points into a bunch of separate little audio files. Clip conform is the action of taking all those clips that you've just chopped and gridding them to the grid point that you detect and tell it to. So you could do whole notes, eighth notes, quarter notes, 16th notes, whatever. And edit smoothing is essentially the action of taking all those hit points that you've just moved. It's gonna add a little bit of time before it and do a crossfade so that you're not crossfading on the actual hit itself. So I have all my drums here. Let's select it. I'm gonna go capture selection, which is gonna tell Beat Detective, hey, from this point to this point, I want you to look at that audio and analyze it. We're gonna click Analyze. It's gonna take a second, and then I'm gonna zoom in here, and you'll notice once it's analyzed, it's gonna give me these kind of hit points, these analysis markers. And there we go. So now it's analyzed. You can see this sensitivity knob is at 0. So you should be telling Beat Detective kind of what speed of hits you're looking to detect. In this case, I think eighth notes will be better because it's not a super fast rhythm. There's not a lot of subbeats, so eighth notes is probably fine. Let's capture again, analyze, and now sensitivity, let's bring it up slowly until you see these hit points start to show up. So you see all these little white lines are all the analysis points. And as I bring it up, you'll see it gets more sensitive. Let's go to a place where there's a little more action, like here. As I bring it down, you see that the hit points go away. As I bring it up, they start to come back. Now I wanna get something, I don't like to go too crazy with the chopping. So I just want Beat Detective to detect kind of the bigger hits, you know, the main hits, the kicks, the snares, stuff like that. I don't want it to be chopping on every hi-hat groove and stuff like that. It doesn't come out natural that way. So this looks pretty good. It looks like it's detecting all the kind of major hit points. Let's go a little more maybe. No. Let's keep it at 18%. Let's start with that. And now you can see it has all these analysis points all over the place. we're gonna go clip separation. Now you're gonna see it's gonna calculate and chop everything. So now all that audio has been chopped. And this is why it's important to do this in a group, because you don't want it to be chopping. If the snare hit is just a little bit late behind the kick hit, you don't want it to chop the kick and the snare separate. That way when it conforms, it'll line them up. It's gonna be all phasey, it's gonna be weird, so you don't wanna do that. You wanna make sure you group everything so that the hit points are applied and the chops are applied on all the group of drums at the same time. Now we're gonna do a function called clip conform, which is gonna tell Beat Detective to slide all those clips that we've just chopped and put them in place with the grid. There you go. So you can see it's moved a couple hits forward, it's moved a couple hits back. Very simple. And let's do an edit smoothing. And I like to use the function fill and crossfade. I want it to make crossfade so I have no clicks and pops in my edits. And let's do like a 30 millisecond value. Click smooth, and there you go. So now it's just taken all those clips, it slid the clip back a little bit to add a little bit of empty space before the hit, and did a crossfade. So in theory, we shouldn't have any clicks or pops. Let's take a listen now to the tightened drum track. Let's kind of listen to this section here because there's a lot of action. See how tight that is? And that's it. It's that easy. One thing I would recommend is for you to take the time it takes to listen to the song, listen through it and see if there was no mistakes, because it can happen where Beat Detective will detect a hit that maybe is just a hi-hat, you know, and you don't want it to necessarily chop or move that. So if ever you discover a place where it makes a weird move like that, it's fairly easy to fix. Let me see if I could find one that maybe is a little weird, maybe towards the end, because I'd like to show you kind of how to fix that. So let's say, I mean, no, that's pretty tight. I don't really need to change that. Let's see, a little further maybe. See, like there's like that little hi-hat groove in the middle right here. Feels a little bit rushed, I think, the way that Beat Detective chopped and moved it. So we're just gonna grab the clip here and just extend it out to keep the natural groove for that, literally for that one beat. And then we're gonna fade it. There you go. That's it. And take the time, listen through the whole song, make sure there's no little mistakes where it might have quantized it wrong. Fix it just by sliding out a clip to keep the original timing, and then you're fine. You make sure everything's crossfaded, there's no clicks or pops, and you're done. And again, this same principle could work for any rhythmic instrument. Hell, even bass probably could work, which I've never tried, but I'm sure it'll work because it's the same principle. You select the group of tracks that you need to align together. If you have a bass amp and a bass DI, for example, select both the tracks, group them together, Beat Detective to analyze all the hits. You select if you're looking to quantize generally to 1/8 notes or quarter notes or 16th notes, whatever, depending on the speed of the song. You do clip separation, clip conform, and then an edit smoothing, and you listen through it. You double check. You can use it for percussions, drums, bass, anything that's rhythmic, really, anything that has hit points. And don't forget, Beat Detective can also be used to create custom tempo maps using this function here, bar beat marker generation. So let's say you have a drum performance that's free, that wasn't done on a metronome, and you need to now create a tempo map because you're gonna be programming some MIDI instruments, some VSTs. You need that stuff to be on tempo and gridded with your tempo of your track. So you're gonna take the bar beat marker generation, you're gonna analyze the audio, and it's gonna take out all the hit points and give you a tempo map for your session. And that's it, Beat Detective in a nutshell. Super easy to use. Now, one thing I wanna warn you about, do not try and use this on maybe a drummer or a player that's not tight to the click at all. Let's say it's just too off. If you do a Beat Detective, it's gonna quantize it in very weird ways. So you're better to edit those by hand. But for something that's already relatively tight, like this track, You just use a beat detective and it's gonna put everything on the grid, it's gonna sound perfect. And that's it, really. With a good musician, doing a beat detective on a drum kit like this with this kind of player shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to do. And you give it a listen, make sure everything is good, and that's it. So that's all for this week's video. Very short, how to use beat detective, clip separation, clip conform, edit smoothing, and you're done. You could probably do this in less than 5 minutes on a decent musician. Before I let you go, I want to tell you about something very, very special. If you did not grab it yet, I want you to go pick up my free PDF gear guide. If you're just getting started in audio and you're just starting to build your studio for yourself or your clients, in this gear guide, I give you all the things you're gonna need to buy and how much they're gonna cost you. I give you different price points ranging from higher grade materials that cost a little more to lower grade, all budgets. Again, it's absolutely free. Go pick it up. Go to www.mixwithjacob.com/gear guide. And also, before you go, let me know down below in the comments, do you use Beat Detective or any other software to grid or time your drums? Or do you prefer to do it by hand? Some people like to edit by hand. I think it's too long. I'd rather use a tool like this. Let me know down in the comments. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you next week. Peace.